What Really Happened to Sherry Jackson? Star in The Danny Thomas Show. Sherry Jackson was born Sherry D. Jackson on February 15, 1942, in Wendell, Idaho, to Maurita Kathleen Gilbert and Curtis Lois Jackson Sr. Her mother provided drama, singing, and dancing lessons for Sherry and her two brothers, Curtis L. Jackson Jr. and Gary L. Jackson, beginning in their formative years. Sherry Jackson, just 6 years old, has lost her father. After her husband died in 1948, Maurita moved the family from Wendell to Los Angeles, California. This girl herself is an active person. In 1967, Jackson began a 5-year relationship with business executive and horse breeder Fletcher R. Jones, a union that ended on November 7, 1972, when Jones was killed in a plane crash 8 miles east of Santa Ynez Airport in Santa Barbara County, California. 5 months after Jones' death, Jackson filed a palimony suit against his estate, asking for more than $1 million, with her attorneys stating that Jones had promised to provide her with at least $25,000 a year for the rest of her life. Accompanying the years before, her career was known to be bright and shining. Sherry had her first screen test, for The Snake Pit with Olivia de Havilland, and by the age of 7 appeared in her first feature film, 1949 musical You're My Everything, which starred Ann Baxter and Dan Dailey. In 1950, young Sherry became friends with actor Steve Cochran while working with him on The Lion and the Horse. Steve introduced his friend, writer Montgomery Pittman, to Sherry's widowed mother. A romance developed, and Pittman married Maurita Jackson in a small ceremony on June 4, 1952, in Torrance, California, with Sherry as flower girl and younger brother Gary as ring bearer. Cochran himself was Pittman's best man. During the course of appearing in several of the Ma and Pa Kettle movies during the 1950s as Susie Kettle, one of the titular couple's numerous children, she also appeared in The Breaking Point, which starred John Garfield in the actor's penultimate film role. Sherry Jackson is an emotional person, a friendly face. In 1952 she portrayed the emotionally volatile visionary and ascetic Jacinta Marto in The Miracle of Our Lady of Fatima, and the following year played John Wayne's daughter in the football-themed Trouble Along the Way. In 1955 Cochran hired Pittman to write his next film, Come Next Spring, the first that Cochran produced himself. Sherry played the part of Cochran's mute daughter Annie Ballett, a role Pittman wrote specifically for his stepdaughter. Jackson may be best remembered for her 5-season run as older daughter Terry Williams on The Danny Thomas Show. From 1953 to 1958, during the course of her 5 years on the series, she established a strong bond with her on-screen mother, Jean Hagen, but Hagen left the series after the 3rd season in 1956. Worn out from the relentless pace of the production, Jackson left the program at the beginning of season 6, once her 5-year contract expired. To allow the writers to finish the character off, actress Penny Parker appeared in the role for 14 episodes of season 7, in which the character gets married and moves away. Jackson's impact on the Danny Thomas viewing audience was such that, on February 8, 1960, she received a star for television at 6324 Hollywood Boulevard, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Jackson did return as Terry for the premiere episode of the new series Make Room for Granddaddy in 1970. With his own passion for acting over the next few years, Jackson broadened her range of acting roles by guest starring in dozens of television series, appearing as a hitwoman on 77 Sunset Strip, a freed Apache captive who yearns to return to the reservation on The Tall Man, an alcoholic on Mr. Novak, a woman accused of murder on Perry Mason, and an unstable mother-to-be on Wagon Train. Besides, Sherry also appeared as a first-season guest on the Rifleman episode, The Sister, playing the part of a horse-riding sibling, to her 2 doting brothers. She gave an energetically beguiling performance as a gunslinger's promiscuous young bride in the Western series Maverick episode entitled Red Dog with Roger Moore, Lee Van Cleef, and John Carradine. After a 1965 appearance on Gomer Pyle, USMC, she then made guest appearances on Lost in Space, My Three Sons, Gunsmoke, The Wild Wild West Batman, and the original Star Trek series. On the latter program, she made one of her more memorable portrayals as the android Andrea in the episode What Are Little Girls Made Of? In 1966, Jackson was cast as Catherine Kate Turner, a young woman from Boston who takes over a wagon train after the death of the Trailmaster, in the episode Lady of the Plains of the syndicated series Death Valley Days. DeForest Kelley plays a gambler, Elliot Webster, who falls in love with her though she is engaged to marry once the wagon train reaches Salt Lake City. In 1968, Jackson co-starred in The Mini-Skirt Mob as a member of an all-female motorcycle gang. In the 1970s through early 1980s she made guest appearances on such TV shows as Love, American Style, The Rockford Files, Starsky and Hutch, The Blue Knight, Switch, The Streets of San Francisco, Barnaby Jones, The Incredible Hulk, Fantasy Island, Vega Dollar, Alice, Charlie's Angels, and Chips. In that period subsequent years she appeared in the movies Wild Women in 1970, Curse of the Moon Child, Cotter in 1973, Hitchhike, in 1974, The Girl on the Late, Late Show, Returning Home in 1975, and Casino in 1980. Sherry D. Jackson is a retired American actress and former child star. Her story helps us to remember a little, for a fine day today. We are very happy to make a video about her, and finally send our best wishes, sincerely to the gentle girl, and wish everyone a lot of health and joy in life.